Chapter 19, Spiders in a Can. It was evening and starting to cool down by the time I finished my own story. Let's find something to eat, Rico said. I've never been so hungry in my life. I can wait until the soup kitchen tomorrow, I said. Tell me this. What is the one food you would die for right now? Chocolate-covered frozen banana on a stick. Rico pointed to an ice cream cart down the street. He pulled some pesos out of his pocket. My treat, to celebrate. Let's see if they have those. They did. We stood in the shade of a plaster wall to keep the chocolate from melting. Rico gobbled his up, but I went slow, enjoying every bite. The chocolate reminded me of my last night at home. I just realized this, I said. You don't have a backpack. I lost it yesterday. I have to get another one and some clothes. Mine stink. As I finished and was licking my fingers, two cholos approached, flashing some sort of signs. They sported white muscle shirts, baggy pants, flashy sneakers. We talked a little, and then the one with no hair except a rat tail said, We can get you through the tunnels. No thanks, Rico said. Once was enough. Grinning, the cholos stambled off. What was that about, I asked. Before, when I had told him about Julio floating through on an inner tube, me staying behind, he hadn't said a thing about having tried the tunnels himself. It's how I lost my backpack, Rico replied sheepishly. When was this? Just yesterday. I met a cholo, Nardo was his name. For $100, he said he'd take me through. It sounded like a deal. Let me tell you, it was creepy in there. It's real long, smells bad, and it's pitch dark. Traffic rumbling over your head, side tunnels, people appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Lots of cholos living there, huffing spray. Nardo's flashlight was a piece of junk. Finally, I saw the faint light at the other end, reflections of streetlights. When we got close, there was a heavy chain link gate across the entrance, like you were talking about, like you were afraid of floating into on the inner tube. How did you lose your backpack? The cholos took it and $100 in my pocket. A bunch of them came out of the side tunnels with sticks and knives like a pack of hyenas, only worse. Nardo laughed and called me a fool. I would have lost my last 100 if they stripped me like they were talking about. They let me go laughing at me all the way back. Well, you survived. What a fool I was. I can't tell you how good it felt to see you, Turtle. After everything I've been through. Will you keep trying to cross? Of course, everything will be fine once I get to my brothers. Now we can team up and figure out how to get across the stupid border once and for all. Maybe my brother will put both of us to work. Right now, that sounds too good to be true. At Plaza de Toros, we spread out my blanket and my map of Arizona, which included Mexico Mexico for 100 miles south. I tried to talk him into Miguel's route all the way to La Pera Flaca. Rico went from looking sour to shaking his head. Too far, too many chances to get caught. Plus, that was March and this is May. The water you found would have dried up by now. About that, you might be right, I had to admit. Rico pointed to the huge Tohono O'odham reservation. Everyone says this is where most people are crossing. The Indians have 70 or 80 miles of the border. Maybe it's not patrolled very much. We took a closer look at the map. A paved road ran east and west through the middle of the reservation. At a town called Sells, the pavement dipped within 30 miles of the border. We hiked to that road, Rico said. From there, Tuscan is only an hour's drive. When we get to the road, who's going to give us a ride? The Indians, I guess. The Indians have cars? In the States, who doesn't? I didn't like the uncertainty, but had to wonder if Miguel might think this was worth trying, now that it was May. The shorter the distance, the better our chances of surviving the desert. I would let Rico decide. It was his money that was going to buy the bus tickets and the supplies. In the morning, we found a shop with cheap used clothing. My old t-shirts and underwear went in the trash. Rico wasn't the only one who smelled bad. Rico found a backpack and we both found better sneakers. At the bus terminal, Rico bought 2 tickets for Alter, a town a couple of hours to the southwest. The bus rolled up the hills and out of Nogales onto the desert plain sprinkled with those huge factories and maquiladoras. Soon we saw only skinny cows, cactus, and mesquite. I hope to God I had seen the last of Nogales. At Altar, we got out our map and compared it with the one posted inside the bus station. We had a decision to make. Mexico had border towns near both ends of the reservation. Soñota to the west, Sasabe to the east. Rico said he had enough of Soñota, and Sasabe was closer to the Indian land. The only problem was there was no bus to Sasabe. We turned from the ticket window and started asking questions. There were plenty of mojados to ask. You go to Sasabe by van or truck, a guy told us. Go to the plaza, you'll see. The town was flooded with wets. The park inside the plaza was overflowing with them and with poleros. Rico and I hadn't even found a place to sit down when we began to hear their pitches. Florida, Los Angeles, Chicago, wherever you want to go. $3,000 to Boston with a job guaranteed as a dishwasher. 5 times in 10 minutes, we were asked if we were looking for guides. The plaza was ringed with parked vans. They had their back doors flung open and were selling jugs of water. Most had a sign in the window. We went to have a closer look. The sign says Sasabe. 3-4 times we asked about the cost of the ride to Sasabe. Who are you with? They would ask back. We're by ourselves, we would say. No room, they would tell us. Tried to push it, and they told us to go away. We were halfway around the plaza before we got an explanation. If you two are by yourselves, the driver told us, forget about it. Why is that? I asked. Crossing on your own? That's bad for business. Whose business? The coyotes. Who do you think? They don't like people trying to cross on their own. They'll charge you $500 apiece if they catch you trying. For what? They make you pay them so that nobody will mess with you. Understand? Don't waste my time. Go home if you have any sense. We stepped aside. Protection money, Rico fumed. Did your Miguel ever tell you about that part of trying it on your own? He never mentioned it. I think we have a problem. We'll stay out of their way, I said. I didn't let on, but my confidence was shaken. Let's keep looking. At last, we found someone who liked the green color of Rico's money. $10 a piece to Sasabe, and there might be room. Be back in an hour. Buy your supplies in Altar. Sasabe is a chicken scratch town. At Altar's biggest grocery, Super El Coyote, we bought our supplies. Food for a 5-day hike across the Indian reservation, water, cheap sunglasses, a pocket knife, and needle-nose pliers. All the money that remained was a $5 of Rico's in pesos. Was a few dollars of Rico's in pesos. We hurried back and got packed with 13 men into a Suburban with the seats taken out. The others were from Michoacan, wets like us, but with coyote money. They were going to meet their Polero in Sasabe. The road north was mostly unpaved with heavy traffic. The driver kept the windows up to keep out the dust. I thought I was going to suffocate. We were all tangled up in there like a nest of spiders in a tin can, and the air conditioning was broken. Rico made a joke about the Suburbans being put together in Silao. He said his sister's husband was to blame. I didn't have the breath to grunt a reply. At least we were moving, and the direction was north.